tools, a bit of an impromptu video on XSOAR. It occurred to me, looking back across my videos with some of the, well, frankly, very kind comments I've had. I know people do have some issues with the sound quality, but believe me, so do I. And I am trying to fix them. I strongly suspect that the issue may very well be fixed by spending a lot of money on an expensive microphone. But as I'm sure people can appreciate, I'm actually trying to avoid that at the minute. Now, there's a lot of videos, there's not a lot of videos, there's some videos starting to crop up about XSOAR. And I wanted to make sure that, for a couple of reasons really, because I really like the product. And in fact, actually, as a Palo reseller, I think we are going to try and move towards specializing in XSOAR and XDR. I want to try and keep ahead of the crowd. And I'm also aware of the fact that the videos I've got on XSOAR are actually, they're getting a bit old now, to be honest, and I wanted to update them. Now, alarmingly, within my home environment, I do have a lot of alerts, as you can see. And so, as a result, I thought I wanted to do a few series of videos on operational use of XSOAR, when I get my XDR subscription, looking at that, how we can really start to automate things, and why I think it's so beneficial. So the first thing to do is, when I log on in the morning, this is what I'm presented with, because I can't be bothered looking at it every day, which is something you should never do. So the first thing is we'll pop along to the marketplace and then update our content packs. Now, you would, in an enterprise environment, you would want to check those first. But bear in mind, if something breaks, you can downgrade it. So you can downgrade to another version, basically, that isn't broken, so to speak. Okay, so then coming back, we've got my dashboard, which is here. So no new incidents so far today. 8 unassigned incidents, which happened yesterday, I would imagine. And then I've got some late incidents here, stuff that I just haven't bothered looking at. So, which is bizarre for a security channel, because they're actually high and critical. That's awesome. Follow me. Right, so we have a look at this. This is an interesting one because I know for a fact where this was, and there seems to be an issue when I am proxying the connection. So when I'm breaking the SSL between myself and Palo Alto's website, there seems to be an issue with this, and I get this denial of service vulnerability. Okay, so we're going to have a look at this. So we've got the vulnerability, severity, the owner, which I will assign to me now, and I'll get an email any second telling me that's been done. Where it's come from, the source instance. So the source brand is syslog, so it's from our syslog integration. But as we said before, the instance of that integration is where this has come from. The playbook that was run against it, which we can see in work plan. So you can see that it's a basic playbook. And I mean, again, so these can be as big as you want them to be, and they can be conditional, and you can integrate all sorts of machine learning. But I have to be very careful. There's my email to tell me that I've got an incident. I have to be very careful because I'm only on the community edition, of course. I get the 166 commands. So due to the fact that occasionally, and for seemingly no reason at all, I end up with a load of alerts. So I have to be careful that I don't run out of automation. So commands. Let's refer to it as it is. Okay. So we know where it came from, which happens to come from me, and we know the source username because I'm using Global Protect to provide my user ID to my Palo Alto firewall. So we know the user, we know the threat category, and we know what we're looking for. And we also know, because we've extracted the IPs, we can see from here that the IP is there. It's known as benign, and we can click into this further. You can see there's no relationships, especially for me. I didn't know so far. Anyway, all good. There's no issue with it really. It's benign, set by dbot. We can go down and see who it actually is. So it's not internal. That's the host name. We've got a related instance here, so where else it has appeared, and I would imagine they're all pretty much on the false positive techniques. Yeah, okay. So you can go into them and investigate them. They are closed, but we can go in and have a look, and then you can see there again we've got the same. So it's picking up the fact that is and was a factor in other cases as well. We can add a comment to this if we want to. We can go for another. Excuse me, I'm squeaking. IP reputation, so we can run IP reputation against it again. If we go into the war room, we can see here in the war room that it's gone through and it's checked with IP info. They know where it is. Who else is in here? So that's the execution pause. So within the war room, of course, is all the options up to this point, and all the options up to this point stop us from. We've got the raw data there, how it's been presented, mail sent successfully because that was sent to me to say there's been an incident, and then it's waiting for me to continue with either a false positive or continue the investigation. We just run the IP reputation command on that IP. We've got an indicator there, and that's the command that was run. And then these are the responses for it. We have results from Whois results as well. So we got that there. So the ASN CIDR, who owns it, Google. So because it's benign, I would be tempted to say that we should not worry about that one too much. But what we will do is we'll just quickly check for this one, and we'll see if we can find any more information on that one. Now, of course, something else that everybody should be aware of when looking at this is that I haven't got a lot of the integration set up because a lot of things are paid for, and I do this channel. Well, so far I do it completely for free, but it is done on that basis. Now, of course, I am going to change that because I'm going to sort of invest in it a little bit more. I think the reactions have been quite good from people, which I'm very happy about actually. So I'm going to change it, and then we'll look further into what the different integrations can do and how we can really start to get involved in 24/7 monitoring, 24/7 virtual SOC for companies. And even if you wanted to download this and run it yourself, the only thing I will say about downloading it and running it yourself at home and using it at home is my plan, flawed as I now discovered it is, was to run it on ESXi within an old workstation, HP workstation. Now, the issue with that is that the I/O that's required from the drive for the database is so massively intense that the moment you start doing anything with it, everything else stops working. So it was a flawed plan. I probably overshared there as well, but yeah, just don't do it. Just walk away. Just the best thing to do, buy yourself a and I don't put any links in for any affiliates or anything like that, but the HP microservers, if you got one of them with a good i7 in it, and just really just pay the money on the drives. You want SSDs, and you want good ones as well. Okay, so the reputation for this, let's have a look and see where we've got any reputations, IP reputation results. There doesn't seem to be anything to suggest that that is malicious in any way, shape, or form. Now, of course, for this specific one, I do have the bonus of knowing what it was what it was about and what caused it. So within that remit, I'm gonna accept that it's okay. So I can either, and we've got a couple of these, so I'll do it here first. So going through the work plan, we can see the playbook was triggered. Is there an IP? I'm excellent at my naming convention. So that's basically just looking to see if there's any IP addresses. If there is, extract the IPs from the instance, query the panorama logs to see who was trying to go to it, then get the logs. This is actually, I'll show this. So basically, my problem here is I've actually created this the wrong way around, because extract the IPs from the incident. So there. So I've got the IP from the incident there, okay? And then I'm querying the logs. So I'm querying the logs for one particular IP address. But because this was specifically designed to pick up for URL-based attacks, that's actually looking for the sinkhole address. So as I say, always, the easy thing to, just quick digression, my issue and the reason why I do this is because I think there's a lot of mysticism which is falsely created around things like this, and a lot of that comes from people trying desperately to secure their own salaries or an overpriced course. So when you see people doing stuff, example, if you watch somebody typing, doesn't matter how good they are, 9 times out of 10 they'll make a mistake, and the moment they make a mistake they get frustrated, but you actually feel less intimidated because somebody's making a mistake. It's not cruel, it's not nasty, just human nature. The problem with a lot of videos is they're rehearsed over and over again, and nobody actually tells you where the issues are. So you get this opinion that there's this person who knows everything and is doing everything perfectly, and it looks really complicated. So immediately you start to feel not intimidated, but just a little bit unsure about it. And the fact is, we have to share the information. If you share information and you're trying to protect an environment, you'll do it. If you try and protect it with only the knowledge you've got, you won't stand a chance, because nobody knows everything. Anyway, digression over. So I can control this from in here. So I can put a completion note on it. So this is actually, I know for a fact this is a false positive. Okay, and because I named these in a bizarre fashion, so a live incident, which ironically would then notify the affected user and then close the investigation, or else, which is just close the investigation. We're going to go for else because we know it's a false positive. Okay, and then you'll see that it runs through and it closes the investigation for us. The evidence board, if you'd added anything to it, we'll do that in the next one. And then related incidents. This is where we see the that's the email telling me that I've closed the incident, so all is well. This is where we have the issue with the IOPS, you see, because now it's going through the related incident, so it's got to search through the whole lot, basically what it's got, and then we have, so we can look at the related incidents and we can change this. So not similar at all. Takes a while. Give it a second. Obviously, if you this is the thing with the microserver. If you can afford a microserver, you can buy a microserver to run it on, so that it's running that specifically for this, or even a small microserver with a NAS running off the back of it. But you'd have to have a good connection to the NAS. This will all be a lot quicker. Okay, so we can see the similarity scale ends up with PA vulnerability 144, and that's moving this away now from being as similar as the other ones. So for here we got similarity, it's a threat, it's a vulnerability, and we can even see going to here we've got 13% similarity. here we have 13%. If we go to here, 44%. As we get closer, you can see we've got 44%. And then as you move this up and down, you then tune out the ones that are similar, not similar. So you can investigate them, you can add them together, and you can say, right, okay, well, we've seen this a number of times. So, and then the canvas allows you to create, so you can also populate that. For demonstration purposes, the items placed on the canvas will be a 10 most related instance, linked instance, malicious and suspicious common indicators. So we auto-populate that. And it's still going, still going. And then there we go. So now we can see we've got the CIDR range there. We can see we've got our IP that we didn't quite get. We didn't get an actual response from. So we can see that. We can actually then run IP reputation again on that. We can recalculate it. Still got an unknown verdict. But that is down to the lack of integrations that I've got running. So for instance, I use the VirusTotal free. So I only get a certain amount of API calls that I can make. But I mean, again, some of these subscriptions aren't as expensive as you might think. And the reality is that if you were to, so I've got 155 commands left. And you can see we've already looked at 2 incidents. Not only that, but we're running through other incidents as well. And we're looking at sort of linked incidents, and we're doing some investigation based on that. So really, if you put together a couple of subscriptions, maybe a Pi-hole, something like that for URL filtering if you haven't got Palo Alto, because as you bear in mind, this will work with anything. You could start to really secure your family one hell of a lot more. The reality is that everybody who is connected to the internet is a threat. That's it. Simple as that. You are a threat to somebody else because you can connect to them. If you are a threat and you are an uncontrolled threat, then you can be weaponized. You are a target. You're a target for people that want to attack others through covert means. Okay, so we're looking here now, and we can see that we've got a critical. Right. Bring it up. Hang on. Yep. So we severity high. Sorry, it's got severity high, and then that gives us all the details that there was on there. And as you fill in more and more details, and you create more and more context within your incidents, then you'll see more from there. Okay. So yep, that's fine, because you can save that and then save it for afterwards, but we're closed. So if we go back to now incidents, come to this one. So this now I know for a fact, because I checked this. So I know for a fact that this particular one is actually my better half trying to get to a particular website to book something for my daughter. So this is where my particular querying of the logs, it shows one thing which is good, but it also shows a failing on my side, which is also good. So within my log, if we go to my work plan, okay, bear in mind the work plan is the playbook, and you can run other playbooks against this incident if you want. You can run that one and it will run it again, and that's all good. So is there an IP? Yes, blah blah blah. So this is extracting the IPs from the instance, and then it's querying the logs based on the fact. So I want to query the log for that one. So address querying for 11111, and that is asking the firewall, it's using the firewall API to find out which hosts are making DNS calls to the sinkhole. And so the host and then the DNS that it's going to. Now in this particular instance, this is where it fails, because that is actually, I know that's not a host, usable host on my network, and I know for a fact that isn't. However, they are making DNS calls, and that's where I need to get more granular with my query, because basically what it's doing at the minute is showing me the last 10. Is that 1, 2, 3, 10? Yeah, show me the last 10. So I'm going to mark this as a, I think this is a false positive. Okay. Okay, so now that's closed. So if I come back to here, have a look at syslog, private internet access, I know what that's about. It's basically private internet access. It's a VPN client from my laptop. Okay, and so again, we can see that we've got other instance, so you can go straight to those other instances from here. And now I know what this is. So again, I can close this. And so you can see how we can start to really work our way through what needs to be investigated and what doesn't need to be investigated, and also how we're going to look at things as they come up. So unassigned incidents. Oh, actually, I'll just clear away those late ones there. Just quickly filter now on late incidents. So if I want to see how many of my late incidents contain this, I can copy this back to home, and then to filter the dashboard, so I know that's the alert name. Paste it in, and then I can see that I've got 3 late and 3 unassigned. Okay, now what I'm going to do here, just to really quickly clean this up, because I know what they all are. Pull that from that. I can mark those as a duplicate. We can just about see in the corner there, you'd normally take the number first, I guess. You can see 168.185. That is to link the 2 that are selected to that one at the top. 8.185. Validate that. Yes. Name syslog. Type PA spyware. Severity critical. And that's now linked them and closed them. And now if I just investigate this one, I can click it from here to fill it in. Okay, not only is that closed then, but when we come back here, we can see that we've got no late incidents, and the only live instance we've got left are the Sky Router login, which again I know what it is because I had to switch something on the Sky Router. And you can see the administrator login successful from here. So this is picking out the data from the syslog. So this is a separate instance. So again, the source brand is syslog because that's the integration that we're using, but the integration itself is not the instance. The instance is the instance of the integration. So the instance of the integration in this case is Sky Router, and it's using the Sky Router playbook, which is a very, very simple playbook. Can't even remember what it looks like. Just investigate the access. Is it all good? Yes, it is. Mark completed. And then close the investigation. All is well. In hindsight, could probably do a bit more with that, but that's life. So only got one left, which again we know. Okay, and this is another GUI login. So what you'll find with Sky, if you have Sky, if in the UK and you have Sky as an ISP and you start looking at this, you'll have two logs for a login. You have the initial one, which is a successful login, and then you have this one, which is to show that it's the GUI login and its login success. I would imagine if there was command line access to it, I would imagine that there would be one for source, command line, or shell, or whatever, login success. So I'm just going to investigate that. I'm going to say, yeah, that's all good because I know all about it. And that's basically a quick run through then of making your way through your instance and so on in the morning. Now, just quickly, just to reiterate, so if I go to settings, in here we have all the integrations I'm using. Sorry, the integrations that are installed on the box, and you can see we've got firewall, threat, and sky router. We can see that we've got those there, and we've got the classifiers. So once we go from there, we then classify into. We can look down here. So I've got spyware incidents, vulnerability incidents. Is there any more down here? I don't think there is actually. And so they are then classified. So that's basically, so when that gets an alert in, that looks at the alert and it looks for these particular keywords within it, and then it creates that type of incident. Okay, so there, so all good. Do more and more of these. I think we should get more and more sophisticated, really start to look at how we can automate stuff, bring XDR into it as well. Let's start making some dynamic user groups and some dynamic groups, and then tagging directly from here, and show how we can stop an attack before we've even got anywhere near the console. So we evaluate what we want to do with a specific attack, and then we create a playbook around that and put that in, and then the next time we see the attack, it automatically blocks it for us and then just tells us that we're safe, as opposed to having to find out later that we're not. So enjoy, have a good day, and I'll put some more videos up soon.